In this video, we're going to do a head-to-head comparison of the brand new Sig P365 XL versus the Glock 48. So for a quick comparison between the Glock 48 and the Sig P365 XL, first we're going to talk about the features of the gun. Both come with forward cocking serrations. The Sig comes with a flat face trigger, the Glock does not. Sights-wise, we'll get into that later when we talk about price. There's multiple sighting options for the Glock. The Sig comes standard with these Sig night sights, blacked out or vials on a blacked out rear, and then a green ring around the front vial. And texture-wise, the Sig wins hand down. This is much more aggressive, but not too aggressive than the Glock. And this also has an optic cut, which is probably my favorite feature of the Sig. Now, size-wise, we're looking at 12 rounds in the Sig, and we're looking at 10 rounds in the Glock. And as you can see, the Sig is a tad shorter. Now, as I say that, there's also a 15-round magazine option for the Sig, which puts it just a tad, not quite, trying to line these up, just a tad taller than the Glock. But there's a company called Shield Arms that has a magazine that'll be similarly priced to the Sig mags. For the Glock, it'll be an all-metal magazine that fits flush, so it might even be shorter than this factory one, I'm not sure, but it'll hold 15 rounds in this grip versus 12 or 15 in this grip. So that's going to kind of even the playing field, maybe give the slight edge in capacity to size ratio to the Glock. Now, price point wise, that's where things get a little more complicated. The Sig P365 XL has an MSRP of $685, a street price on the internet right now of $638, but understand those prices are going to go down more than likely to MAP, which is $579, which is what I paid for at my local gun store. So $579 for this setup, whereas the Glocks have an MSRP of $538 when you have the slot fillers, and the street price on those is $448 when you order the slot fillers, and then you get real actual sights that you have your gunsmith put in or you install. And so that's almost $120 cheaper than the Sig right there. And that's about the cost of buying a good set of sights and then having your gunsmith install them. So there it's going to break up even. Now, if you want to get factory night sights from Glock, there are two options. One is the Ameriglow night sights, the Ameriglow bolds, and you're going to pay $542, so you'll save around 20-30 bucks over buying the Sig. Or you're going to get the Glock night sights, which is going to be $488. So both those options are pretty decent sights. They're both going to come in a little bit cheaper than the Sig, but at this price point, it's really going to come down to which gun do you prefer. Now, so one thing I do want to mention on these two guns that I haven't seen anybody really mentioning before is the distance between the rear of the back strap and the front strap. So right there, we've got a distance of 1.8, and on this one, we have a distance, well, depending on where you measure it, of almost 2 inches there, but more up towards the top here, 1.9. And that doesn't seem like a lot. You're looking at roughly 1/10 of an inch difference, but that makes a huge difference when you're comparing how they draw from the holster when you're carrying concealed. And the reason is you have your body up against the back. That's a lot more space that these fingers have to curl up in behind the grip with this gun versus this. And some of it is a training issue, but having that slightly larger grip, at least if you have average size hands for a 6 foot tall male, let's say anybody that is over 5'8" is probably going to find it easier to get a consistent grip from a concealment holster with the Glock 48 than the Glock P365X. Now let's go and see how they shoot. Okay, so for this comparison, we're going to shoot the gun for recoil control, see how it does with the 3 different types of ammo we're using, which is 124 grain standard pressure, 115 grain standard pressure, and then 124 grain NATO spec, which is the equivalent of plus P. Then we're going to do some limp wrist testing to see how the gun handles that in case your grip gets compromised in a defensive situation. We're going to shoot at 25 to see accuracy at distance. And then we're going to shoot the test, which is at 10 yards, 10 rounds, in under 10 seconds to give you an idea of what you could do, say, at maybe 5 yards in a defensive encounter. And then we're going to shoot single hand only just because people never practice that. And it gives you a good idea of how easy the gun makes it on you, because that's a pretty difficult task to accomplish. Okay, so right here, I'm gonna do some slow motion footage of the P365 XL, and I've got 3 rounds of 124 grain Blazer, 3 rounds of 115 grain Independence, and 3 rounds of PPU 124 grain Native. So we're just gonna see what this looks like under slow motion. All that ammo to me felt about the same, so that's saying pretty good things about the P365 XL. Got the Glock 48. We're going to see how it does under recoil. We've got 9 rounds in the mag, 3 of 124 grain Blazer, followed by 115 grain Independence, and then 3 rounds of PPU native spec ammo. Those last 3 rounds were a little snappy. Everything else was identical. Okay, so now we're going to take the P365 XL and do some limp wrist testing just to gauge reliability in a stressful situation. Forgot to switch hands on that, but we'll finish up the last. And no issues, everything locked back just fine. Okay, so now we're gonna do some limp wrist testing with the Glock 48. Locked back just fine. Okay, so I'm out here at 25 yards with the Glock 48. And I've got 2 B8 targets down there, and I'm going to shoot 10 rounds on each, no time. Okay, so I've got 2 B8 targets down 25 yards from me, and I'm shooting the Sig P365 XL, 10 rounds at each target, and I'm using the standard 12 round mags. We've got 10 loaded in them. Okay, so now we're gonna take a look at the 25 yard results, and we're gonna start with the Glock 48. I got 9 out of 10 on each one. You can see the general size of the groupings. I'm not that happy with it. I don't know where that 10th round went each time. It was obviously somewhere over the shoulder on each. It could have keyholed, but I didn't see anything that looked like a keyhole. So I'm shooting that straight there. Now, I got 7 out of 10 and 8 out of 10 with the P365 XL. And I think a lot of that had to do with the sights. The sights on that Sig are not meant for distance. I've got the 4 Ameriglow to 4s on the 48, and if I was going to carry the XL, I'd probably add something like those that are a little easier to pick up at distance. Shooting the test with a Glock 48, 10 rounds, 10 yards on a B8 in under 10 seconds. See how I do.
Okay, so I'm here on the 10-yard line, and I'm gonna shoot the test, which is 10 rounds, 10 yards on a B8 in less than 10 seconds, and I'm shooting with the Sig P365 XL with 124 grain lawman. Okay, one thing I will say, the small circumference of this grip makes it a little bit difficult. Now I'm gonna shoot round 2. So now we're gonna talk about the test. 10 yards, 10 seconds, and 10 rounds, all on a B8. Now I got a score of 91 on this, 8.9 seconds, got a score of 95 on this one, felt really good about this, and that was an 8.84. So good results, nothing stellar, pretty standard for a gun that size. I'm happy with it. Now the 48, I shot a killer group in 8.67 right here, and this one was pretty happy. Some way I threw 3 way low, and there's a 4th one missing. I got 9 out of 10, so that's probably low. That was 100% me, but both guns are capable of shooting great at 10 yards. I'm gonna give an edge to me with the 48 just because I've shot a lot more. Now the P365, it's got some features like the trigger that I think would help me a little bit more, but I'd really have to set it up with different sights to see if it gets an edge. Okay, so I'm here at 5 yards with the Glock 48, and I'm just gonna shoot some single hand only into the head box. At 5 yards with the Sig P365 XL, and I'm gonna shoot 5 rounds with the head box. Single hand only. Okay, so shooting at 5 yards, single hand only with the Glock 48. Sorry, it's a little bit windy out here. You can see I got almost everything minus that in the 3x5 card. And what I was really aiming for was more right around this area right here, where the nose bridge would be. And you can see with the Sig P365 XL, did a pretty good job. That's a keyhole right there. So 5 rounds through that one, pretty far off. But 5 yards, single hand only, I can, strong hand only, I can live with that.
So closing thoughts between the P365 XL and the Glock 48. I think this has a ton of features. It wins in that department, but I do find the Glock 48 just a tad more shootable, even though the recoil impulse on this P365 XL is a little more superior in my opinion. This is where the Glock 48 is. It is my carry gun. I don't know if I see that happening with this. Value-wise, assuming this was 100% reliable, which unfortunately has not been in my experience, let's just say it was, adding a Romeo Zero on there, it's a $200 optic. I doubt it's going to be as durable as the RMR. Will it be sufficient for carry? Maybe. And if that's the case, then this is going to be one heck of a value. You're looking at under $800 for a ready-to-go dot gun. Whereas with this Glock 48, I'm gonna have to send this off, get it milled, which is probably gonna be $200. Then add an RMR, and right there you're looking at $700 alone. So $600 to $700 alone right there. So value-wise, this wins. But if you're not mounting a dot, I think a Glock 48 with a set of Ameriglow bolts for around $30 cheaper is a great buy. And with the shield mag coming out, that's the direction I'd go. The trigger is slightly better on the Sig, but personally in my shooting experience, I've found that a better trigger, what feels better at least when you're sitting there, dry fire, something like that, doesn't always translate to better rounds on target. Usually your grip, your sights are much more important than the trigger, as long as the trigger is just not horrendously bad. And the Glock 48 trigger is pretty bad, but it's not something you can't overcome. So, hope this video has been helpful. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please subscribe, like the video, leave a comment down below. Check out the website, harrysholsters.com. We've got some awesome products, especially some of the stuff that's going to be coming up in the next couple of months for both these. Go to the website, sign up for the newsletter, and I'll see you guys in the next video.